What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another exciting episode of Forever News! The only news source that provides anything and everything anime and manga related, and a few other things. We don't bore you. We get into it. Let's do it. I must go, must leave this house. I must go, the time is now. I must go, it's time to get out. Okay, people, and before we continue, if you would hit that subscribe button and that bell, I'd super appreciate it. It'd help you out to get the videos quicker. It'd help me out to get you guys watching, all of that good stuff. Please hit them buttons, subscribe, and the little bell over here on YouTube. And if you're listening on the audio, yeah, follow and all of that good stuff. But let's do it. First story on the docket. We're going back in time a little bit with this one, people, because a lot of people, I'm sure, could imagine and wonder where Naruto came up with the infamous catchphrase, "Believe it," aka Dattebayo, which I don't think Dattebayo necessarily translates to believe it. That was kind of Viz Media putting their spin on believe it, but Dattebayo, because it says here, Naruto creator reveals where the believe it catchphrase came from, and again, it ain't believe it, it's Dattebayo. But now it's safe to say Naruto is an icon. The hidden leaf ninja has become the figure known around the world, and his journey continues to this day despite the odds. Well, not his journey, it's Boruto's at this point, but yeah. Years ago, creator Masashi Kishimoto couldn't have known how big his hero would become, but their series thrives to this day. Many elements of Naruto are now cultural icons, and we have learned where one of them originates. Believe it. Dattebayo. Oh yes, we're talking about that legendary catchphrase, my friends. If there's one thing Naruto ingrains in fans, is a certain catchphrase uttered by its lead. Naruto Uzumaki loves to end his epic speeches by saying Dattebayo. As it turns out, the catchphrase was a last-minute addition by Kishimoto, so fans can stop thinking so hard about it. Interesting. During an interview with Kobayashi some years ago, Kishimoto unpacked the origin of it, which has now surfaced in English. When asked how he came up with the catchphrase, the creator of Naruto said he wanted his protagonist to have a silly verbal tick that set him apart from his peers. As such, he came up with "Believe it, Dattebayo" as the cheesy phrase sounding like something an old person would say. The phrase was also used as a sort of speech impediment, and thus Naruto's iconic line was born. Of course, Kishimoto says he didn't think too hard on the catchphrase, but the reason for its creation makes a lot of sense. Naruto spent a lot of time with the third Hokage and listening in to older villagers, so you can see why he might have picked up on old school taglines. Kids his age would find the expression strange, but to Naruto, he was likely just repeating what he had heard on the streets as an orphan. But after proving himself to the Hidden Leaf, now the phrase Dattebayo has become a bona fide rallying cry to its people and to fans in the real world. I don't know about the people of Konoha screaming Dattebayo as well, but, and also, again, I want to clarify because this article isn't giving everything about it, because Dattebayo does not translate to believe it. That might be, the speech impediment part and something that Naruto picked up on the street, sure, but if I'm not mistaken, believe it was actually the people over here in the US and Viz Media that didn't really know what to translate it as, because it had no real meaning, and they were like, well, how about just put it as believe it, which I like that. At the end of the day, as corny as it sounds, it was kind of dope to have somebody that is that optimistic and motivational to add that type of element of, yo, believe it. But Dattebayo actually doesn't really have no meaning, and it's just, again, something that Kishimoto made up, so to speak, which is also interesting to note. A lot of people are like, yo, this word don't have a meaning, but look, this was a meaningless word that became a global phenomenon, Dattebayo, and later again translated to believe it. And if you don't know, now you know. Yeah, people, that's the origin of Naruto's infamous catchphrase. And it's also quite fascinating that then Boruto comes along and now his is Dattebasa, although that was more planned, I guess you would say, because, his father Dattebayo, him Dattebasa. Alrighty. And since we're going back in time with some Naruto stories, let's jump into another origin story of Naruto, why don't we? Because Naruto creator said the series wouldn't have happened without Akira. I'm sure you've heard of Akira, legendary classic film, Tetsuo, all of that jazz. So yeah, it says here, it's hard to imagine a world without Naruto if you like anime. Decades ago, the hit series came to life under Masashi Kishimoto and is now recognized as one of the best shonen titles in history. From the Hidden Leaf to the Uchiha clan, Naruto introduced some true icons to the anime fandom, but the series almost didn't happen. At one point, Kishimoto was convinced he was done with art, but a little help from Akira helped the creator find their way. If you did not know, Kishimoto spelled out his ties to Akira some time ago in a note to fans. In part 12 of The World of Masashi Kishimoto, the artist took time to break down his middle school years. It was there the artist said he was so focused on baseball that art was hardly on his radar, which makes sense that he made a one shot about baseball some years ago. I think it was called Bench. In fact, he was certain he'd outgrown the desire to draw by this time, but Katsuhiro Otomo's Akira drew him back into the world. I was on my way home one day when I happened to glance at a poster for Otomo Katsuhiro's Akira. In an instant, the sight of it had an impact on me so powerful that even now it's hard to describe. I stood staring at it for over an hour. The poster featured an overhead shot of the main character, Kaneda, walking towards a motorcycle. Kishimoto recalled, whoever wrote this article was bugging, calling him Toriyama. Like, what are y'all doing? The bike had an amazing design, and there were cracks in the ground and pebbles scattered about, seemingly at random. The poster seemed like the coolest, most original thing I had seen, and it rekindled the flame of my artistic passion. Ever since that day, I kept drawing with the hopes that someday I can approach the standard set by that picture. And that makes so much sense too. Again, the rivalry between Tetsuo and Kaneda, Naruto and Sasuke. It sounds about right, and again, it brought forth legendary greatness, and even though it's a trope of, main character and his, best friend that is now turned heel, I still really rock with it, and it's really dope to get these tidbits of Masashi Kishimoto's origins with certain aspects of Naruto. Next up, let's jump into a little bit of Pokemon news, because apparently Japan shops has banned adults from buying Pokemon cards, which to a certain degree I wish over here in the West they would do a little bit of that, or at the very least regulate a little bit better with certain cards. I know with the One Piece cards, a couple of shops that I went to, you could only buy 2 at a time, but it's really ridiculous how at Walmart, for example, most of the time, if you're not super first to where all the cards, trading cards come in, there's a certain section of people that they just buy all the cards and leave barely anything there, and it's kind of it sucks all the fun out of it. There's really not you gotta be a super hardcore vulture asking the staff when the new cards is coming in, because people go crazy. So I'm not necessarily mad at them. I don't know about the adults, because that's probably going to limit their clientele, but them banning adults from buying Pokemon cards, maybe not altogether, but they should limit it. I don't know. It says here, Tokyo Pokemon Card Shop bans adults so kids can enjoy the hobby. Haruya 2 and Akihabara will not sell new Snow Hazard and Clayburst packs to anyone over junior high school age, hoping it will block adult resellers and make the new cards more accessible to children, because yeah, they kind of want to get, lifetime fans. Oftentimes, look at me. I've started off as a Pokemon fan at the age of 7 or something, and I still really enjoy and, appreciate Pokemon. But if there was a bunch of adults back then that was just buying out all the Pokemon cards and not letting me get into the fandom, I might not be here right now talking about this story in general, because I wouldn't really care. So definitely something to note, that if you're an adult that does that as well, knock it off. Leave some cards for the kiddos and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to indulge in the hobby. It's cool to pick the packs and all of that stuff that you like to have fun in doing, but yeah, let the kiddos get some fun. You dig? You smell me? You feel me? Come on, fam. Shout outs to this shop, because maybe they're going a little extreme, saying no adults and nobody over the age of junior high, but come on, especially those resellers that don't care about Pokemon at all. That's just scummy. You just buying them because, yes, they will sell very high, so let me buy all of them. Come on, stop. And while we're on the topic of Pokemon, I found this story to be very interesting. So some years back, roughly, I want to say it was about 2011, when the earthquakes that hit Japan happened. Very, catastrophic stuff. Again, rest in peace to all the people that lost their lives, because I believe one of the creators of Pokemon, if I'm not mistaken, had passed away during those, horrific events. Apparently around that time, there was some episodes of Pokemon that were in development, Pokemon Black and White, that had to be scrapped because of the controversial nature and everything that was going on in Japan at the time. Well, apparently they unleashed the scripts for those episodes, considering Ash is no longer going to be a thing, so that's probably why they said, we could let them go. Because it says here, lost Pokemon episode starring Team Rocket surfaces after 12 years. Pokemon's been around for decades, and in that time, the franchise has sparked all sorts of theories. From its movies to its games, Pokemon has a ton of wild mysteries which have yet to be solved. One of its most famous mysteries lied with Pokemon's anime for Black and White. But after 12 long years of waiting, the big mystery has been solved, as scripts for 2 lost episodes have come to light. That's right, Pokemon sleuths were able to track down 2 scripts from the anime that were meant to air more than a decade ago. As it turns out, the Unova region has big things planned for Team Rocket at this time, but Team Rocket vs. Team Plasma Part 1 and 2 were never released to see that vision through. Thanks to Bulbasaur Garden user Objection Man and several anonymous fans, Pokemon's anime has now filled in this gap from its history. The full scripts for Pokemon Black and White missing episodes are now live. They're pretty lengthy reads in English as the original Japanese scripts have been translated, and apparently the scripts contain juicy details about Team Rocket. After all, fans of Pokemon anime may remember how big these missing episodes were hyped. During their time in Unova, Team Rocket assumed a more serious storyline than we'd ever seen before, and the group even changed its outfits to match something darker. As Team Rocket was introduced to Team Plasma, it became apparent the two groups were going to butt heads, and these scripts proved the gangs did have an epic showdown. Sadly, these episodes were never finished, as a natural disaster in Japan prompted the Pokemon Company to nix the Rocket versus Plasma showdown. And I ain't gonna lie, that did sound cool, and I think I remember catching a couple of those episodes and thinking, wow, Team Rocket is a little bit more dastardly than they've been in the past. What's going on here? So very interesting that they actually unloaded those episodes. I mean, I don't think they would have ever went back and done those anyway, because that's like, come on, 12 years ago now at this point. And on top of that, especially now, Ash and Team Rocket aren't really a thing. It's a whole new adventure. So, and again, I totally understand why they had to scrap those episodes. There was a lot going on over there in Japan. It wasn't the time for that, and they had to move on. But for those that were still wondering about what happened with those episodes of Pokemon that was scrapped around that time, now you know. Those were what those episodes were supposed to be about. And I ain't gonna lie, it sucks that actually sounded like really hype, like Team Rocket versus Team Plasma, Team Rocket being a little bit darker. Like, those would have been some fire episodes. And one more story on Pokemon. Apparently, Pokemon trading card game announces launch date for the TCG Live. The development team behind the digital version of the Pokemon trading card game has released a substantial update since their last message, which confirmed that the original and much loved trading card game online service would be sunset in March to make way for the incoming updated platform and trading card game Live. So it seems as though they're starting up a new Pokemon trading online game. The team has now confirmed an official shutdown date for the original service of June 5th, 2023 at 9 a.m. PDT, when the service and smartphone apps for the original trading card game online will be shutting down and removed from their respective app stores. So it seems as though they're just like trying to revamp, so to speak, and start with a new online thing. It's like, imagine if they didn't let Dokkan continue on into Dragon Ball Legends and they shut down Dokkan to start up Legends. It sounds like that. Probably the original one wasn't that big of a success, and they're like, yeah, move it out the way, we got something new coming. Moving forward, fans of Akira Amano, aka the creator of Katekyo, Hitman, Reborn. Apparently she's had a new series for quite some time. I mean, she did a couple of different things in between the end of Katekyo, Hitman, Reborn and where we're at right now. There was that series that ran for a little bit called, I believe it was Ed Alive, and it had an anime adaptation. I'll be honest with you, I didn't really think it was a good series. But then, as of recent, the last few years, they've had a series called Ran Komonohashi, The Ranged Detective, and apparently the manga has ended part 1, and I do think that there's an anime for it, if I'm not mistaken, that I'm really disappointed in myself that I have not watched yet. The first part of Akira Amano's Ran Komonohashi, The Ranged Detective manga ended on Shueisha's Shonen Jump Plus website and app on Sunday. The first part ended after 96 chapters. The website also announced that the manga will go on hiatus and will return June 4th with the start of the manga's second part. Amano launched the manga on Shonen Jump Plus in October 2020. Shueisha published the manga's 10th compiled book volume on April 4th. The first season of the manga's anime adaptation will premiere in October. Okay, so the anime isn't out. I'm super bugging. What am I even saying? I'll probably even cut that part out. The first season of the manga's anime adaptation will premiere in October. And yeah, that's definitely a must-watch because Akira Amano, maybe Ed Alive wasn't great per se, but Akira Amano is an awesome writer, and Katekyo Hitman Reborn was great, and the art for this series looks fire. And in general, I'm up for some more Akira Amano, and hopefully that means that this anime adaptation is going to be like a faithful, straight-up adaptation of part 1, and then so on and so forth. But yeah, for any fans that were following this one, it seems as though it's come to an end, and I ain't gonna lie, it's interesting to see how every author from that generation kind of landed. Like, Kishimoto, Ryuhei Tamura, author Beelzebub, Akira Amano, like all of these authors have done different things and they landed in different areas. We know Kishimoto, his Samurai 8 got canceled after coming back to Shonen Jump for about a year. Akira Amano tried her hand with a couple of different series on Shonen Jump Plus, and neither one of them have really exploded in popularity. Ryuhei Tamura, he's tried a bunch of different times to get a series going in Jump, and it didn't work, and now he's coming back in a new Jump magazine and going to a different publication. It's fascinating, honestly, to see that a lot of these authors that they had these hit works in Shonen Jump, they really didn't, like, none of them really returned with big smash hits again to the magazine, which showcases a little bit that it's not always necessarily completely due to talent why these series blow up. Sometimes you could throw the argument, maybe it's luck, maybe it's marketing dollars, maybe it's striking at the right time with the right era and the right audience. So there's a lot of different variables as to why people continue on with hits. Like, everybody ain't Yoshihiro Togashi or Hiro Mashima that come back with big hits and even bigger hits than their predecessors. But yeah, figured I'd throw a little bit of my 2 cents in on this situation. Quickly wanted to read off this list of rappers getting the most daily streams on Spotify, and it's kind of fascinating to see. For starters, at the very top, we got Drake with 45 million. At number 2, Eminem with 22 million. And mind you, this is Spotify because I believe in the monthly category of streams overall, Eminem was number 1. At number 3, Future with 22.1 million. At number 4, 21 Savage. Number 5, Kanye. For everybody that's saying that Kanye's canceled, he's still getting 21 million streams daily on Spotify. Then under him is Travis Scott. Under him, Kendrick Lamar, 17.6 million. Oh man, stream up that Kendrick, baby. Kung Fu Kenny. Then we got Tyler the Creator. We got Lil Baby, Juice WRLD, rest in peace. Nicki Minaj, XXXTentacion, again a big rest in peace. Love that artist. He was an incredible person, and his growth was cut short, and it's so tragic to even think about. Rest in peace, X, man. Doja Cat, J. Cole. That's interesting. J. Cole is getting less streams than a lot of these artists. Who would have thought? Then Lil Uzi Vert under J. Cole, and then Lil Wayne all these years later. Despite the fact that he hasn't had, a big record in quite some time, Lil Wayne is up in there as well. It's a lot of streams too, 10.7 million. But yeah, that's the list of the most streamed artists. And considering the fact that Drake was like Wayne's artist and Wayne brought Drake into this, it's a win-win for Wayne regardless. You know what I'm saying? And definitely of all these artists, for the most part, I rock with a good chunk of them as far as listening, but especially shout outs to Kendrick, though. Anything that is conscious related or whatever, I'm here for it. Kendrick, XXXTentacion, shout outs to Juice WRLD. Yeah, really interesting list. Moving forward, Saint Seiya fans, interesting stuff. If you haven't been following that, there's a new Saint Seiya live action movie that's out, and I'm so dying to see it whenever it comes because it actually looks really good. But here it started off placing in the box office. Japan box office says Saint Seiya the Beginning live action film has made its 8th place debut under the Japanese title Saint Seiya the Beginning, titled Knights of the Zodiac in other regions. The live action film adaptation of Masama Kurumada's classic Saint Seiya action fantasy manga finally released in 323 theaters across Japan April 28th, ranking at 8th place in its opening weekend. Specific first week box office figures have not yet been officially announced due to the Golden Week holiday. Makenyu, who is Scar in Full Metal, and Zoro in One Piece live action adaptation, interesting, plays the protagonist Seiya as his first lead role in a Hollywood film. The film's estimated budget was $60 million, according to Variety. According to an interview with Toei Animation producer Yoshiyuki Yoshizawa on Shueisha Online, Toei Animation funded 100% of the total production cost. That's interesting, but also kind of a testament to maybe some people didn't want to partake in funding it because Saint Seiya is kind of old and it's popular in some regions and not others. I noticed that they were trying to build up some momentum and hype globally for this thing by posting the old Saint Seiya anime episodes for free on Toei's YouTube, and I was comparing the stats, right? I was looking at like the Western English version of it. They didn't really have that many views, I'll be honest with you. Like the top episode when I saw had like 9,000 views or something, but then I saw when they released it in Spanish, One episode had 200,000 views. One episode had 190. Like, it was madness. So it's definitely a testament to, while your stuff may not blow in your area, or if something might not be hot in one place, that doesn't mean that it's not hot in other places, because it's a stark contrast. And from what I remember, just like Dragon Ball over there in Mexico, Saint Seiya is massive over there in Mexico and other Spanish-speaking parts of the world. And yeah, Saint Seiya, I'm expecting that, even if it doesn't necessarily do fantastic per se in Japan, I'm willing to bet that other international areas is going to make up, and they're going to get back that 60 million that they spent. Not to mention throughout streaming and everything, they're going to get their money back. After staying on the #1 spot for 2 consecutive weekends, the Detective Conan anime franchise's 26th feature film, goddamn 26 films, Detective Conan Black Iron Submarine, dropped to 2nd place, defeated by the newcomer The Super Mario Bros. In its 3rd weekend. The latest Detective Conan movie earned 1.189 billion yen, about $8.7 million, on 831,000 admissions, bringing its total to $58.4 million on 5.37 million admissions. It has now become the 5th top grossing film in the Conan anime franchise, surpassing the 24th film, Detective Conan The Scarlet Bullet, from 2021. And yeah, there's other films that are in theaters right now over there. There's Tokyo Revengers 2, Bloody Halloween, Arc Fate, and the first Slam Dunk film, and they're seemingly doing decent as well. But yeah, I really do want to watch that Saint Seiya movie. I'm just saying. And since we mentioned it, apparently the first Slam Dunk, the movie, rises to become the 5th highest grossing anime film of all time. What the hell? The 5th highest grossing anime film of all time? I had to read that back a second my damn self. The underdog of a team continues to score basket after basket, as the first Slam Dunk became the 5th highest grossing anime film worldwide this past weekend, overtaking One Piece Film Rev for the spot. Not only that, but the Toei Animation produced film also rose to the 19th highest grossing film in Japan of all time. So that's the 5th highest grossing film and 19th highest grossing in Japan of all time. As of April 30th, the first Slam Dunk has grossed $102.91 million, thanks to its outstanding run in China, grossing $82.5 million in less than 2 weeks, as well as South Korea's $35.74 million gross, and Taiwan's $14.9 million around Asia in 10 territories. The first Slam Dunk has made US $251 million. Oh my God, whatever I said, I was wrong about people not rocking with this thing. Like, Slam Dunk is a different breed. This pushes the first Slam Dunk past One Piece Film Red. Oh, Toei knew what they were doing. I guess they mapped this out really good, because One Piece Film Red did 245 million and Slam Dunk is at 251, becoming the 5th highest grossing anime film of all time worldwide, where it sits right below Suzume, which is also currently playing in theaters across the world. This also makes half of the top 6 highest grossing anime films of all time list populated by movies that were released in 2022 alone. That's very interesting and strange at the same time. Why is... well, okay. I mean, maybe because post-pandemic, just everybody wants to be outside more. Well, I don't know. That's weird, but that is crazy to think, dog. I just out of sheer shock and curiosity, I do want to check this film out to see what the heck, because $251 million. I know Slam Dunk is popular, and maybe it's because sports series weren't really ever the hugest thing up until recently over here in the US, so Slam Dunk didn't really have that giant, massive surge of fandom over here like it did in other parts of the world. But golly, passing One Piece? One Piece? Okay, yo, big ups to Toei for this one, and of course the original creator Tatsuhiko Inoue. Big wins, man. I'm still in shock. $250 million. What the fuck? Moving forward, just a couple of quick updates for starters. Medaka Box fans. Medaka Box by Nishio Isin and Akira Akatsuki has 6.5 million copies in circulation with 22 volumes. And this is the big difference between manga fandom back in these days, which was not that long ago, the early 2010s, to where we're at right now. Back then, right, Medaka Box was considered a hit. I mean, it was featured in J-Star's Victory Versus. It got an anime. It went on for quite some time. A lot of people like to really praise that era of manga where Medaka Box, Hitman Reborn, Beelzebub, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach. Like, that era of shonen manga is still considered one of the best. especially since I've been on YouTube. There still hasn't been an era that has come close to, in my opinion, capturing the magic that era had. Like, this era, of course, has had some incredible series, you know, from the Jujutsu Kaisens, My Heroes, Demon Slayers, Black Clover, all that stuff, but there was something about that era that was different. And I think a little trick to that era was, it was just before, it was on the cusp of anime and manga exploding, but it really didn't hit just yet. So I feel like they allowed a lot more of straight up creativity to go down, because Medaka Box was just a really creative and interesting series, right? Not that all of these other ones aren't creative and interesting as well, but it was just of a different breed. It took a lot of risk back then as well. And I think this is a testament to that. People back then didn't really harp too much on sales, because this ran for 22 volumes with 6.5 million sales, when Black Clover right now is at like 16 million sales, and people call it a flop. So that is a big testament to, back then, fans weren't really harping on sales all like that, and they allowed for more creativity, and they allowed for series to breathe a little bit more than they do now. Nowadays, you better sell 6.5 million within like the first 3 volumes, or you getting up out of here. Like, well, maybe not that extreme, but yeah, it's just, you see the big difference. Because anime and manga is so popular now, they expect a lot more. Like Black Clover, with the sales that it got now, I don't think if it came out right now, it would be able to last as long as it did. I think that expectations are just through the roof between fans and even the execs, that, yeah, a Medaka Box ain't gonna last for 22 volumes with only 6.5 million sales. I mean, look at P. I think that's another story that I have here. P has reached 500,000 copies in circulation with 8 volumes, and they canned it, okay? And they canned that, so they can't profit off of that for fans in the future or anything like that. At best, maybe they'll throw an OVA someday, maybe, possibly, just out of sure why not. But that's crazy that things have changed so drastically. And then other stories that we got here as well is Akane Banashi will be receiving a capsule rubber mascot Gashapon collaboration starting in October 2023. Jujutsu Kaisen will be releasing its first coloring book Red on July 4th, 2023. I hope they bring that to the West. The Demon Slayer coloring books is kind of cool. And then World's End Harem by Link and Kotaro Shono has reached 9 million copies in circulation for the entire series. Fan service for the win. Yay! Let's keep it real. That's the main reason why that series thrives, okay? Like, if you watched at least 1 or 2 episodes of the anime, you know that you was like, oh my god, the blood is flowing. So yeah, World End Harem. Then, as I was mentioning Black Clover a little bit ago, apparently Yuki Tabata will be the next up of the artists to participate in the Dragon Ball Super Gallery project in next month's Saikyo Jump issue number 7, 2023. In case you don't know what that is, counting down to Dragon Ball's 40th anniversary for the last year or 2, I believe. They've been having different popular artists and mangaka in general from Shonen Jump come in and do homages, you know, basically redrawing volumes of Dragon Ball and their art style. They've had pretty much everybody you can name of has done one at this particular point, mostly, and now they're going to be allowing Yuki Tabata, and I can't wait, because Yuki Tabata has one of my favorite art styles for characters, especially in Shonen Jump history. Like, I really dig his art so much, so I'm curious which volume he's going to actually do, and either way, it's nice. Like, show Tabata some respect, alright? He's out here trying his hardest, he's been doing his thing, he's been rocking out since 2015, give the man some love, you know? Moving forward, people that have HBO Max, or I'm sorry, Max, it's not HBO Max anymore, yeah. HBO Max is set to remove tons of Adult Swim / Cartoon Network titles soon. It goes without saying at this point that HBO Max has had its struggles. Despite having a large library of hits under its thumb, the platform has faced intense criticism in the wake of the Warner Bros. Discovery merger. Much of that came to light last summer as HBO Max began cutting a number of projects, including quite a few animated titles, and now net citizens are bristling as HBO Max is currently set to lose a number of major animated series. Not to mention that whole lawsuit of them faking the amount of subscribers they had. Let's slide that one under the rug, huh? Why don't we? Comicbook.com. The update comes from HBO Max itself as the service updated its last chance catalog now that May has started. The category includes titles that are set to leave by the current month's end, and users noticed a number of Cartoon Network hits were listed along with Adult Swim titles, from Ben 10 to Metalocalypse, and the list is pretty surprising. You can check out the full list right here. Let's see, there's Ben 10 Ultimate Alien, Ben 10 Omniverse, Ben 10 Alien Force. Which one of those is the good Ben 10? Because I've heard like a bunch of the Ben 10s kind of suck, except like a few. Which one of those sucked? Let me know. Dexter's Laboratory, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Flapjack, Clarence, Metacalypse, and Space Ghost Coast to Coast. So honestly, for me personally, it's not really any loss other than maybe like Dexter's Laboratory. Like, yeah, I love me some Dexter, but I never unfortunately got into Ben 10. That was just a little bit past my time. Yeah, that's pretty much it from the list. So I ain't really mad at those series leaving, I'm gonna be honest with you. But HBO Max got a whole bunch of other problems, and I'm gonna keep calling them HBO Max because Max, again, you're not Max Powers. Moving forward, apparently this star from Attack on Titan says that they wore the same underwear every time they recorded, and that is some stank. I mean, oh god, gross, nasty boy stuff. I just gotta throw that out there. Like, change your underwear, please, for the love of God. We don't need you stinking up the area when you're going in there and screaming, Eren! Even if you're Eren! It says here, Attack on Titan's been around for more than a decade, and soon its legacy will enter a new era. It won't be long before Attack on Titan anime ends at last, as Studio Mappa is hard at work on the finale of Season 4. Of course, this means the anime's cast is keeping busy, and none more so than Yuki Kaji, again, Eren himself. The A-list voice actor has overseen Eren since day one, and in a recent interview, he revealed an odd fact, a little bit of a TMI moment about getting into the character. As it turns out, Kaji had a little ritual when it came to voicing Eren in the studio. The actor would don the same pair of underwear whenever he recorded, and Kaji said as much himself in a recent interview with Bakura no Jidai. What? For some reason, when I play my role in Attack on Titan, I always wear the same underwear. I think it was just a coincidence, but when I was recording episode 1, I was wearing an underwear with a black-white pattern that resembled the image of the works. And then when I started recording episode 2, and I saw I was wearing the same underwear, I thought, oh, this is the same one I wore last week. The actor shared. You nasty, though. You nasty, bro. I don't know if it's Eren from the future, the past, or some shit telling you something, sending across messages and stuff like that, but dog, you nasty. Change your underwear, you gross dude. Like, ugh. That's when I decided that I'd keep wearing it. Since I'm still wearing it and it's already 10 years old, it has some holes, but I have one recording session left, so it's about to retire. And yeah, I just got the headline for this story. Attack on Titan's Eren has wore the same underwear for the last 10 years. You nasty boy, you. Like, thank goodness that Attack on Titan's ending and he got one more session left so he could put these underwear to rest, because ew. And the next story we have, which is kind of very ironic and hilarious, Attack on Titan star addresses Eren's most controversial choice yet. Yeah, it's the underwear. That's the controversial choice. Attack on Titan has caused world-spanning controversy with its infamous ending chapter, but how does it affect the voice actors playing the part? Which, by the way, be careful. I'll let you know if there's a spoiler beforehand. Apparently, the decisions that Attack on Titan creator Hajime Isayama made about ending the series have been as deeply felt by the actors who voiced the characters in the anime as they have the fans who experienced it in the manga. Case in point, Eren Yeager's voice actor Yuki Kaji recently gave an interview where he related the experience of having to act out the final story of Eren and just how much it affected him emotionally. In the interview, Kaji was asked what some of the most memorable moments of performance had been in his career, and the final arc of Eren Yeager's story clearly ranked at the top. However, in the case of Attack on Titan, the term memorable doesn't necessarily mean good. Eren's words of regret when he is going to kill someone in the final part, Kaji offered as his most memorable vocal performance. Conflicts divide us into friends and the other people, but the other people also have their own lives. I realized that again when he said, "I'm sorry," with tears in his eyes. It was really hard for me to understand his feelings so painfully. For the voice actors, crying scenes are fine as long as they sound like they are crying, but this time, I really couldn't stop crying. I was so with feelings that I had to interrupt the recording. It was a shocking experience for me, both as a performer and as an experience in my life as a voice actor. I had never done anything like that before. I will forget the joy of becoming one with the role and the pain of knowing he did that. Pendulum episode of Attack on Titan's anime series, the final chapters part 1, revealed a horrible moment when Eren Yeager's apocalyptic attack on the world, the rumbling, finally reaches the overseas shores of human civilizations and wipes them out entirely. And of course, it was revealed previously that due to the powers of the future and attack titans within him, Eren has been able to see both past and future events of his lifetime all at once. And yeah, I ain't gonna lie, Yuki Kaji is a very conflicted lad. He wears the same underwear for 10 years in a row and cries in the booth uncontrollably. Like, man's really gets into it, huh? But shout outs to that second half, because yeah, that shows a dedication to your work. And I'm not talking about the underwear, please. That's not dedication, that's just nasty, dog. Ugh. Moving forward, in case you don't know, the creator of One Piece, he's kind of a genius. I mean, if you read One Piece, you pretty much know that already. You know he's Goto, okay? But according to this, One Piece creator proves their genius with wild Rubik's Cube stunt. The creator behind One Piece often impresses fans for how smaller teases pay off in big ways years after their first introduction to the manga, and now the One Piece series creator has impressed once more by proving their genius with a wild Rubik's Cube stunt. One Piece is now working its way through the first major arc of the final saga of its long-running manga series, and each new chapter has been setting the stage for the end. At the same time, there are some big reveals capitalizing on teasing that has been set in place many years ago. It's this kind of attention to detail that fans of One Piece, creative Eiichiro Oda's works, are fond of, and goes to prove that the creator just might be on a whole other level. That is especially the case with the newest share from Oda himself, as the One Piece anime and manga's official Twitter account has shared a surprise video where Oda can be seen, probably not his face, solving a Rubik's Cube puzzle in 1 minute and with only a single hand needed to do it. And I'm watching the video, and if that is indeed Oda, because of course they don't show the person's face, it's immaculate that homie is able to do a Rubik's Cube with one hand in under a minute. That is a testament to how much of a goat Oda really is. Not much of a story, but it's definitely always interesting to see Oda doing something out of the ordinary, and yeah, I wonder how long he's practiced that. Moving forward, Dragon Ball fans, some interesting stuff regarding Turles. Apparently, Dragon Ball Super artist brings back Turles in new sketch. Dragon Ball Super manga has been spending its next few months of chapters working through an adaptation of the Dragon Ball Super superhero feature film, which I'm not for. I think that it's a silly choice. Even if they're gonna be expanding on certain things, it's like, come on, fam, what are we doing here? That movie's a year old already. But the artist behind the Dragon Ball Super manga is showing the fan favorite villain Turles some surprising love by bringing him back with a special sketch. Dragon Ball Super has shaken things up quite a bit over the last few years, as Broly was officially made a part of the series canon after being an exclusive movie villain for the past couple of decades. It's basically opened the floodgates in terms of the other potential villains who could return in some form. There are a few other Dragon Ball villains that fans would love to see introduced to the official Dragon Ball anime and manga canon, and Turles would be a fun one to throw into the mix. As Goku's violent doppelganger who made their debut in Dragon Ball Z: The Tree of Might, there could be a fun way to make his potential connection to Goku a little more solidified by bringing him into the manga someday. Dragon Ball Super manga artist Toyotaro has already previewed what that would look like in a special sketch that you can check below. And I ain't gonna lie, that drawing of him, yeah, of course it kind of looks like Goku. Hello, that's what Turles' whole shtick is that he looks like Goku. And I never really thought about it, but I wouldn't necessarily be too mad of them doing a Turles Tree of Might movie. Obviously, it would have to be revamped. Turles would have to be a lot stronger if they're like doing it with current manga stuff. Like if they're doing it somewhere in Super, they'd obviously have to upgrade his strength and whatnot. But maybe somewhere at the point Goku and Vegeta are off training, and it's up to again Gohan and the Warriors of Earth to come and stop him. That would be really dope. I'd be all for it. I'll be honest with you. Like if they did Broly, and they did Broly very well, honestly, Dragon Ball Super's Broly makes a lot more sense than OG Broly. Why not Turles? Turles and the Tree of Might, that would be a fascinating story, and I'd like to see it. And again, Toyotaro's art of him just looks great. Like, yeah, let's do it. Moving forward, AI has been a problem. You know it, I know it, we all know it, and apparently it's taking it a step further and into scary territories, because according to this, it says late Full Metal Alchemist star to voice new project thanks to AI, and that's already giving me the creeps. These days, it seems the topic of AI is more decisive than ever. The technology could very well change life for the better, but it could just as easily spell disaster. For many workers, AI could lead to obsolescence, and many in the entertainment industry are nervously eyeing the tech field as such. And now, a new report is confirming a few of those fears, as one late actor is now being revived by AI for a new project. The update comes from Sony Music Entertainment, as the company released a new audiobook app in Japan. The app is named Yomibito Plus and features a number of classic titles. The famed Japanese works are narrated using AI technology that blends together three well-known voice actors, and that trio includes Kenji Utsumi. The technology, which was headed up by Co-Font, says it can take 15 minutes of audio samples and turn it into a vocal font. This font can be used to read around any text, so that is how Yomibito Plus is doing its current catalog of works. Co-Font also shared its text positive reviews from Kenji Utsumi's son, so as it turns out, the late actor's family is on board with this project. According to the audiobook app, Utsumi's AI replicated voice can be heard on on several works. The actor reads, Be Not Defeated by Rain by Kenji Miyazawa, and a short story by Natsume Soseki. Other actors are also taking part in the audiobook app, including Katsuyuki Konishi, Tengen from Demon Slayer, and Shuichiro Umeda, Izumi from Shikimori's Not Just a Cutie. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not fond of this at all. I could see the writing on the wall. We're gonna be getting a lot of posthumous albums by AI works. Like, that's really what this screams to me at first as well. Like, if they're doing this in the literature part, definitely they're gonna be doing audiobooks. And like, now a lot of things that maybe were uncertain, and I remember them saying it's against Japanese tradition to like do recast roles. That shit went out the window. That tradition, that's gone already. So if God forbid any of your favorite voice actors pass away or whatnot, you can expect that they're going to do this. Like, maybe some companies will be resistant at first, but you're going to see that. You're going to probably see within the next few years a whole bunch of new Michael Jackson albums, any of the artists. Like, we might even see a new Notorious B.I.G. album. They might throw in there, I hope not, because leave his legacy as is. Leave all of their legacies as is, but they probably would even do another Tupac album. And if they do a new Tupac album, please get people that understand Tupac very well to do it if it's inevitable, if there's no way to stop it, because this is what it looks like. The writing is on the wall, and it's only going to get scarier and scarier that pretty much dead people's voices are going to be replacing roles that could have been taken by people that are still here because of their notoriety. Like, this is getting creepy, eerie, and I hope that eventually somebody steps in and stops all of this madness. This shouldn't happen. This is not natural. Moving forward, just a little bit, not really a plug, I just thought it was interesting that there's this Dragon Ball X Lee clothing line, and it embraces the anime's retro vibes. Dragon Ball's been around for decades and has come a long way since its start. Back in the day, Goku could never imagine all he would accomplish as an adult, and Dragon Ball Super is carrying on his journey to this day. Of course, the anime's reputation has also grown, and now Lee is who's Lee? is teaming up with Dragon Ball to create a retro collection. As you can see here, the Lee clothing brand has announced a collaboration with Dragon Ball overseas. The company's EU branch just launched the collection online for buyers, and of course, it brings Dragon Ball's heyday to life. From casual tees to button-up tops, this line has it all, so you can find an entry that fits your budget. Taking a look at some of the clothing that I see here on this article, for the most part they look alright, but I'm gonna be real, I've seen a lot of this stuff, very similar stuff beforehand from companies like Nami Wear. Dom had a lot of stuff like this retro look, and I don't know, it's interesting to see that this is official stuff, but I've seen certain things that look like this before, to be honest with you. This vibe as well, it's okay. When one of the world's most iconic apparel brands unites with a beloved anime powerhouse, people take note. From Goku-inspired shirts to Android-approved shorts, celebrate this coming together of Lee and Dragon Ball Z with our new clothing collection. We have everything you need to reach higher style levels than ever before, so level up your wardrobe with the ultimate collaboration for Dragon Ball Z fans and fashion warriors alike. Lee describes the new line. Of course, Dragon Ball fans are loving the Lee. No, I don't know who said they're loving it. Okay, now that's just the person that wrote this article interjecting their opinions. It looks cool, but again, I feel like I've seen stuff like that, and I don't want to say better because I'm just looking at it at pictures, but yeah, I don't know. I like the vibe though, I guess. Then coming into this one, I believe there's spoilers in here, so you've been warned for One Punch Man, because apparently One Punch Man has recently sparked some major cover-up conspiracy. The One Punch Man manga has been steadily setting the stage for a major new saga for the series following the events of the Monster Association saga, and the newest chapter, One Punch Man, has sparked a major cover-up conspiracy with Fubuki and Tatsumaki at the center of it all. One Punch Man has been showing off a new side of the Psychic Sisters with its latest arc, as Saitama and the Hero Association have been getting used to their new status quo following everything that happened in the fight against the Monster Association, but a secret new group has decided to make their move in the chaos. While Tatsumaki and Fubuki were weary of the mysterious Tsukuyomi group of psychics trying to worm their way into the Hero Association's weaknesses, Tatsumaki ended up causing the most damage to the fight against Saitama, going wilder than expected, as though the Heroes Association's new base was supposed to be safe. But thanks to Fubuki using Tatsumaki's name as leverage, they've been able to cover things up. What is One Punch Man's big cover-up? One Punch Man Chapter 181 sees the rest of the heroes figure out that the Hero Association had been keeping tons of high-level monsters in its basement for both Metal Knight's experiments and to sell them to other organizations. That's a big spoiler. I told you there was spoilers in here. Fubuki then uses the fact that the Hero Association would want to keep this hidden by telling them to use the monster scraps left over from Saitama killing them all with ease to tell the public that the fight and damage Tatsumaki had caused was actually the hero fighting off an army of high-level monsters all on her own. The Hero Association ultimately agrees to this because while it means overlooking Tatsumaki going on a rampage, it would also be a story that would make the investors there at their base feel much safer and thus line the Hero Association's pockets more. The damage was estimated to cost tens of billions of yen, of which Saitama's happy to let Tatsumaki have the credit for to avoid owing such a lofty fee. But Child Emperor figures out as the chapter comes to an end that this was all a cover-up. And yeah, that is freaky and messed up and sounds about in line with what the real world government would do. So why not? Okay, people, and we don't have author comments this week, so let's wrap this bad boy up with the top 50 best-selling manga of the week, courtesy of Jose_Ke. Let's do it. And again, before we continue, just there's no Weekly Shonen Jump author comments because Jump was on break, and Weekly Shonen Magazine, they haven't been translating them the last couple weeks. I think maybe 1 week was a break, and they just haven't translated the latest one. So, yeah, just wanted to give you a heads up on that. They may be back next week. They may not be. I don't got control of that. I ain't no translator on that aspect, lad. So, 50 through 41. Starting off with a manga that it looks old school, and I've never heard of it. Kaze Densetsu Bukomi no Taku. Volume 5 re-edition, Volume 6 re-edition, doing about 11.1, 11.2. Let's scroll up a little bit. What the heck is Futari Solo Camp? I don't know. The main character looks kind of like an interesting lad. Volume 15 in 3 days, 13,000. All right. Oh my gosh. Place 44. Imaizumin Chiwa Dorayara Gal. Oh god, I'm not saying all that, but yeah, very interesting cover. Then 43. Oshinoko, a box set of volumes 1 through 3. Did 13.7 this week, doing 34. And I'm expecting some Oshinoko in here because yeah, it's that anime is doing wonders for it. Blue Lock, episode of Nagi, volume 2, 14k this week, 169 total. Again, that's a spin-off. The Exiled Reincarnated Heavy Knight is unrivaled in game knowledge, volume 5, and I'm sorry, but I just saw that cover and I was like, yeah, let's read it. In 4 days, 14.2k, alrighty. Then we got places 40 through 31. We got Hanyo no Yashahime, aka Yashahime Princess Half Demon, volume 4, in 6 days, 14.4k. So they trying to get a little whatever they could squeeze out of that franchise while people still care. Alrighty. At place 36, One Piece volume 105 with 15.6 this week, doing 1.7 total thus far. Let's see here. Okay, Gachi Akuta in 7 days, 16.8k. I would expect a little bit more, maybe like 30 to 40,000 by now, because I do think it has a little bit of hype and I liked what I read of it so far. But shout outs to Gachi Akuta regardless. Kate Wood and I've been doing a bang up job. Then we got at place 33, Eden Zero volume 26 in 7 days, 17.4. Interesting cover. But yeah, I feel so bad that I haven't gotten back into Eden Zero as much as I've wanted to. I need to do that at some given point. Then we got places 30 through 21. Oshinoko Volume 3 with 19.8 this week, bringing his total to 397, almost 400k. Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 22, still in the ranks, baby. 2 months later with 19.5 this week, bringing his total to 1.25 million. Shout outs to Maki, baby. I'm just saying. We got more Oshinoko up here at the top. Places 24, 23, 22. All of them doing about 21k. That anime, man. It shows you the proof is in the pudding. You get a good anime and sales will rise for your manga. Then we got places 20 through 11. We blowing through these bad boys. We got Oshinoko again, Volume 6 and Volume 2 with 21,000 and 22,000 respectively. And Volume 6 is at 300k. Volume 2 is at 441k. So, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Then at 17, Mao, Volume 13 in 6 days, 22.3k. That's crazy, dog. Rumiko Takahashi has been doing manga for like 40 years and still is, debuting within the top 20 with manga and selling 22.3k. Not to mention Yashahime is of course spun off of her original creation. Like, shout outs to Rumiko Takahashi. Oshinoko Volume 1 doing 22.4 this week, almost 500,000, 495,000. Awesome stuff. Oshinoko Volume 10, Volume 5, 22 and 23. Like, Madness. At 12th place, Oshinoko Volume 4, doing 25, 383,000 total. At number 11, okay, a little bit of a difference. The one that previously had the breakout, Blue Lock, Volume 23, 25.8k this week, bringing its total to 389,000. Boy, I can't wait for that next season. Then we got top 10. Let's see, okay, at number 9, Oshinoko Volume 11, 26.9k this week, bringing its total, and I think that's the latest volume, to 172k. We got Zatch Bell Volume 2, or Zatch Bell 2 Volume 2. This is the sequel series. In 10 days, 132,000. That's just such a win, dog. That is an older series. Nobody thought that it would ever come back, let alone come back and do big sales. Big ups to that author, Makoto Raiku, because I'm sure they probably fell down that their last series didn't do well, but coming back with more Zatch Bell, it clearly is a winning idea. Then we got at number 6, Chainsaw Man Volume 14. In 20 days, 393,000 with 46k this week. Doing numbers. I know a lot of people get like upset when I say like, oh, it's not doing what I expected. I guess maybe I had unrealistic expectations for Chainsaw Man, and that's something that falls on me, not the series. But yeah, and honestly, 400,000 sales in 20 days is not anything to put your nose down at, because yeah, that's great sales. Number 3, Detective Conan Volume 103, 12 days, 76k this week, bringing his total 311. Big win. Spy Family in 20 days, 987,000 with 107,000 again this week. Oh baby, Spy Family, it sells very well. And then another one that is just a freak anomaly at number 1, Kingdom Volume 68 with 6 days, 348,000 copies. Never needed an anime. The anime never did nothing for it. Just, man, big shout outs to Haru Yasuhisa. Just phenomenal work, dog. To be able to sell that much still and never needed an anime still, like big wins. Yeah, people, that was the top 50 best-selling manga of the week, courtesy of Jose_K. Always a treat. And that's all we have for this episode. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy! Have an awesome day. Peace, and you guys just watched another episode of ForneverNews. Have an awesome day. Subscribe and hit that bell to get more. Yeah! No, for real. Why haven't you subscribed and hit that bell, dog? Come on, man. Do yourself a favor. Do me a favor. Why you playing for? Hit them buttons, dog. Love is love. Yeah.
I have a dream, alone in my room as I sit with the tea. Couldn't possibly think what I often see, and you don't even know how I often blink. Lights be flashing and looking at me, such an odd, unique, yet I'm so unique, and you're looking at me. If the walls could talk, they would probably read bleak, and I'd probably say, bitch, get the fuck off me.